The Sabian symbol for this lunation is a children blowing soap bubbles because it is happening in the sign of Libra. There's always going to be about the fulfillment, the full moon, of what Libra represents, balance in one's life. The soul has an absolute unforgiving need for regular excursions into enchantment. And we're going to talk about how this enchanting moon will operate in your chart with a super juiced up Jupiter. And we're going to talk about that for every single sign.
Lunatic astrology.
We're having a moon full and bright at 12 degrees of Libra, and this lunation is going to be bolstered by Jupiter, exalted in a square to this lunation, bringing it some intensity but positivity. The Sabian symbol for this lunation is a children blowing soap bubbles, and it's all about enchantment. It's all about making our dreams real. When we add the asteroid Maki Maki, the creation god of the Eastern Island Tonga people, we're talking about the kind of moon that if we can get into the right way of dealing with reality, which is to be a little bit more magical and a little bit more innocent in how we will operate through this world, we're going to find ourselves moving into something quite luscious, luminous, and positive. It is one of those kinds of moons as well, because it is happening in the sign of Libra. There's always going to be about the fulfillment, the full moon, of what Libra represents, long-term love relationships, one-on-one partnerships, and more importantly and deeply, balance in one's life between all elements of life, whether it's the work and play balance, alone and with others, home and career. There is a need to find that place where the balancing of those scales in our lives is occurring. So there's so much to say about this moon. I'm going to start going into the chart with you and talk about it. I really want you to take this lunation and run with it. Want you to consider that old saying my famous saying that I love to say by Thomas More, the philosopher: the soul has an absolute unforgiving need for regular excursions into enchantment. It needs it like the mind needs thought, and the body needs food. And why I love that is because we think of enchantment like idle daydreaming or fantasy, but that's not true. The imagination that we all have, it's our God-given creation gift. Okay. I love how Caroline Casey, the astrologer, says your imagination, which is Neptunian, by the way, lays the tracks for the reality train to follow. And right now we have that happening in our sky in spades. Right across from this moon, we have Saturn, the reality train tracks the tracks, and we have Neptune, the imagination, together right across the way from this lunation. So there's a reflection of that principle in the sky as we open up to this lunation on April the 1st, 2026. So welcome to my channel. My name is Lori Lothian. In today's video, I'm going to talk about your sign. We're going to talk about your sun sign, your moon sign, and your rising. In other words, you can listen for all three. And this is Western Tropical Zodiac. If you're listening for your moon sign, it's how you feel and think about your life. It can also be taking you to matters to do with your home, domicile, and nest. When you're thinking about your sun sign, which is more accurately active for many people after the age of mid-40s, you're talking about the energy of your spirit that plays in matter. You're talking about the essential core spark of the divine that is really you. But in a practical note, this is also something to tune into when we're trying to suss out the meaning of our lives, purpose, and career matters as we're listening to this story of the sky. And the rising sign is your mask, your simulation avatar character. It's the role you were born to play. If the sun is the actor, then the movie character is your rising sign. If the sun is a game player in a video simulation game, then the avatar you play is your rising sign. And your rising sign is extremely sensitive to circumstantial change. You'll often find that for most people, most of the time, their ascendant or rising sign is very accurate. But your sun sign gets more and more accurate the older you get. If you live an examined life, and if you live a life where you're always underneath that premise of you're asking the divine to, make you, like St. Francis of Assisi is always, famous poem is "Make me an instrument of your peace." And there's a famous poem by Rumi of a similar energy. He says, "I'm the arrow, put me in your quiver and let me fly." Where are you surrendered to your role in life? That's your solar impulse. And where are you allowing for the divine flow to move you forward in life? So as we get more aligned that way, and we start to think about our life in terms of I'm an instrument for the divine to play, or I'm the arrow and goddess puts me in their quiver, and aims me somewhere. Okay. So if you think of your life that way, then you're going to notice your sun sign becomes much more accurate for you, or as accurate as your rising sign. So in today's video, we're going to start, of course, with Aries and move our way through the sky. Sorry, Libra, we're not starting with you today, but I also want to note something else before we keep going. Astrology is a map of time. In order to follow the time map, you need to learn astrology, and it helps. So I do teach my Sky Reader introductory course every fall, 6 weeks to 8 weeks, and it's going to be longer this year. And I'm teaching my advanced beginner course, the Divine Timing Masterclass, that I'm teaching in May for 5 weekends. Check it out below for getting on the wait list, so that you're ready for when the door opens for early bird enrollment and early bird discounts. I haven't created the enrollment page yet. Finally, I'm doing the World Astrology extended version at the end of every single All Signs video. And the reason I'm doing that is because I noticed that a lot of people don't really want to watch the World Astrology. And I'm experiencing, when I put World Astrology out there, a lot of unsubscriptions because people take it very personally. They think I have a political bias, which I actually don't think I do. And they also maybe don't want to hear about World Astrology. It's really gnarly, right? We like the life of the world. The world is pretty hot mess these days. And so trying to find the balance between the world astrology and the personal astrology on this channel since the very beginning of this channel, it is my decision that I think the best way for me to safely put it out there, not be demonetized or shadow banned or have massive unsubscriptions. And this is true, guys. It's in my metrics. I've noticed it, like in most of January's content was all about you and nothing about the world. And as soon as I added more world stuff, I get lots of people unhappy. So what I'm going to do is add the members only section, extended version. And if you want to get that, you need to join my membership community here on YouTube or be a part of my Patreon community as well. So either one is an option. This will be for the second tier on my members only, where they get the extended version of the World Astrology, as well as the early access ad-free content of those videos as well. So that's an option for you. Let's get going. Let's start with Aries. And we're so excited, Aries, because I'm one of you. And we're going to talk about how this enchanting moon will operate in your chart with a super juiced up Jupiter. And we're going to talk about that for every single sign. I'll give you my best guidance that I have. I had about 3 hours sleep last night. This is Monday, the 23rd of March that I'm recording this Sunday drop for you. If I touched my hair, I got some negative comments last time. I was really tired for that video. That's called stimming. And that's because I am actually a high functioning, high masking autistic female. And so if you see me doing any of this stuff, I'm just comforting myself, and don't take it personally. If I seem fidgety, I'm autistic. Keeping my body still in a chair is not easy. I'm also ADD. So I'm both. They often go together, a comorbidity, so to speak. So thank you for your patience and thank you for your kindness. Because sometimes the comments can be quite not very nice. All right. Now, the actual degree of the moon is 12 degrees and about 21 minutes. And I want to say then the Sabian symbol rounds up to 13 degrees. And just so you know, I do like the Sabian for a little bit more of the input there of how that Sabian rolls out, children blowing soap bubbles, because there is in this write-up that I'm really enjoying on my phone. I'm going to read it to you, that it is about the word enchantment. And it does mention that when positive, the degree is consistent simplicity of character that enables anyone to maintain his touch with the transcendental magic of being, and when negative, a constant and idle daydreaming. Okay, let's just say this way. I think that this is an amazing energy because we all remember innocence of soap bubbles. Soap bubbles are things that are ephemeral. I'm just telling you that, right? They're things that are ephemeral. They're like, you can touch them. They're floating through the air. They're gossamer. They have all kinds of like prismatic colors, and they're ephemeral, but they're real. It's a merger between that which is almost not real. It's so light and airy and almost unreal, like a bubble. And then it's also tangible and real. So very Neptune Saturn. So I'm liking the soap bubble imagery. Tune into your own life, go inward. Don't trust an astrologer to understand everything. How do you feel about this story? What does it mean to you? So don't forget, we're doing the world astrology because we're going to see some intense energy with this Libra full moon. And it's going to connect us very strongly. This full moon's intensity is going to connect us very strongly to some earth-shaking energy that could go through the boot of Italy or down by Sicily, etc., based on the astrocartography of the moon. But we're also going to see a huge amount of stimulus in the Middle East from this moon. And rather than talk about that here, if you want to get that intense content, as well as, by the way, some Pluto energy going right through Washington, D.C. area, if you want to get this lowdown without having to listen to world astrology, please go back. Check out my members only extended version feature on YouTube, and I'd appreciate that. Now we're going back to the chart. The reason I stopped to pause, I realized I should let you know what I'm going to talk about. Guys, I'm so half awake today, but the show must go on, as they say. Let's go back to the share screen. So let's vibe up, get it all cute again, and we're going to start with you guys, Aries to start, and Sun, Moon, and Rising next. All right, and share. I don't know if I look as tired as I feel, but I feel like a zombie. All right, here we are. Let's get rolling. So you are an Aries, Sun, Moon, and Rising sign, and therefore you are experiencing an eclipse in your seventh house of other people, most primarily the significant long-term love house. 6 months ago, you would have planted a new seed on a Libra new moon in this part of your chart, and now it is coming to fulfillment. Sometimes it is useful for you to stop and think about what you were doing approximately 6 months ago, because sometimes you can actually connect the dot. I find that the principle of seeding something and something coming to fruition is very true on this story. And so when we talk about that for each sign, I'll bring that up. I want you to time travel back. Yes, I do. To the moon. It was 6 months ago. And just because my brain is half functioning, I forgot the actual date. I had it in my head before we started. So the Libra full moon, new moon would be the fall. Oh my goodness. Yeah, my brain. 2025. I have to actually Google it for us. Please be kind, because my brain forgot what I actually read. The Libra new moon was October 21st, 2025. So go back to October 21st, 2025. Now you planted seeds, then add a couple of weeks around the new moon. You wanted to plant a seed about long-term committed love relationship, about business partnerships and opportunities, about partnering with other people, about things to do with how you approach your marketplace, audience, clients, and customers. That is another meaning of the seventh house. It tends to be like the public of your career as well, like your fans. So back in October, third week into mid-November, these were really germane stories for many Aries. And if you are married or with somebody, there was a lot going on in that relationship, or with your partner in particular, experiencing a lot of things happening. Now, this new beginning from last October is now fulfilling itself in your seventh house. There's a spotlight in the house of long-term relationship. But you'll notice right away that this spotlight, which is going to be at 20 degrees, will come into, it will be at 12 degrees, will come into a tight square to Jupiter. And this is going to be very positive in the sense that Jupiter is exalted and he's in great dignity, and he's truth and wisdom and dispeller of darkness, and the good guy. And he's direct. So, and he's visible. So it's like the moon will move out of the opposition to the sun, and it will slam into a square to Jupiter. So Jupiter has a lot to say about this moon. Well, it is ruled by Venus in her home kingdom, which is Wonderbar. She's in your second house of earnings, resources, and financial matters. That's really good. It can bring a new light into how money can come to you in new ways connected to your business partnerships, audience, marketplace, and clients. But it can also allow you to increase your earnings, save more money, restructure your earnings for more balance. But also, Jupiter is in the fourth house. This means prosperity in the home, prosperity connected to things that are occurring at home and in the home. Now, back in October, the 21st, you could pretty well add a month, okay? Let's add a month. You might have wanted to make some changes regarding your home. So if you can go back and remember what you were doing, then you might have been thinking about how to be more prosperous in the home, how to have a bigger, more expansive home. I started thinking about moving to a 2-bedroom and going to see places, and which I'm going to be doing. And this full moon is taking it one step further. One thing I will mention here is that there can be some good financial surprises coming through other people. By other people, I mean a client, an audience member, a business partnership, The surprise is Venus with Uranus on a well star connected to money, ruling the big lunation, the big full moon in Libra in your seventh house. The way I would operate with this, because I am also going to experience it, so I'm saying, what would I do with that? I think what I would do with that is I would use the Salacia impulse here in a good way. Salacia can be like she's sitting on the sun and the moon will be reflecting her. She's the asteroid that has to do with, gossipy and startling and scandalous information and news, salacious. But she's also this like kind of a mermaid being. She's a sea nymph, and she was the wife, eventually the wife or consort wife of Neptune. But her biggest thing is she's this enchantress who can navigate between the realms with her imagination. And so, in what ways can you navigate between the realms with Salacia, the sea nymph, and Neptune, and make the dreams real, right? That's Neptune Saturn, through that sort of innocent soap bubble blowing that you're going to do in your seventh house. I think that if you're looking for a new relationship as a single Aries, this is a positive button to start up a new relationship, because the sun is being reflected in the marriage house and rules your romance house. So for you singletons, this is good for the next few months to develop a new relationship in your life. It may just show up, and maybe a fulfillment of a yearning or desire that you began to experience last year in October, November. Make sure under this kind of sky that in the 2 to 3 to 4 weeks after the moon, April the 1st, that you are open for being admired, being asked to go out on a date, being willing to take a chance on love. There's something that wants to try to happen here, and treat it like an enchanting soap bubble moment, allow for that playful spirit to arise. And this over here, of course, is the Easter Island Tongva people, the creation God. What do you want to create that's in harmony and balance in long-term committed love? Whether you're improving the relationship you're in, or you're going to begin a new one. And the striving is for that balance. If you've ever read the book and you're single, the soulmate book, what's it called? Bringing in the One, by a therapist. She has you do all of these. I haven't done it, but I've heard about it. All these exercises to imagine the ideal partner, but not like tall, dark, and handsome, but how you wish to interact and feel with that person. Let the details go to God, right? So maybe go get that book for some of you. It's really like how you can dream into being the relationship of your dreams, okay? And maybe vision boarding would be ideal under this story as well. And last but not least, generally speaking, okay, anytime we have a full moon in the seventh house, you're going to have a spotlight on other people that are important to you. You may be able to see them in a different way than you normally do. And that might be a new and favorable way, because Jupiter is opening up the doors of positive energies connected to relationship. And for some of you, it could even indicate that you want to deepen a relationship by cohabitating or buying a home together, or sharing, more intimate space together with joy and appreciation for each other. Jupiter exalted. So there can be more of a desire to move towards cohab. April 1st is the lunation, at about a month to see the evidence for it, but know that it unfolds over the course of 6 months. It's not a one and done. I'm going to get a banana because I'm sugar low, and we'll be right back. All right, let's keep on going. And we're going to next talk about you Taurus, sun, moon, and rising people. And it's so funny. I just was reading an email that somebody sent me a message. I was like, I had my banana. I'm not even going to go there. Someone just told me that my last Substack post about this week ahead sent them into a tizzy. I was like, so strange. All right. So guys, Taurus, sun, moon, and rising sign. I am recording, right? Taurus, sun, moon, and rising sign. The vibe, remember the bubbles, the soap bubbles of children, using one's imagination, tuning into the other realms, being able to make one's dreams real, get some boost from Jupiter. All of that is happening vis-a-vis your work house and your health house. And it amplifies things to do with undoing your life through addictions or bad habits. So there's a kind of wanting to balance things to do with your well-being physically, your health and health routines, connected to ways that you might undo that. Too much wine, too much cigarettes, too much whatever, that escapist tendencies, something like that. And you're going to have a rebalancing here, or an attempt at that, Taurus, at this time. Now, the sixth house is debts you owe. And there's a full light there. If you owe money to anybody, or, you have huge credit card debts, or this sense of having debts to pay, will be highly highlighted. back in October on the 21st, you were dealing with this energy as a new beginning or a seed. And quite often with Libra, the scales of commerce and the balancing of the accounting books, you're trying to find the balance between expenditures, expenses, and debts. And you're trying to stabilize all of that. And this full moon is going to open up like a spotlight for you. And it's got some really nice features. The creation god of the tongue of a people is here, Maki Maki. And how can you have a kind of a new way of creating something vis-a-vis the way you handle money owed and money that is expenditures. 12th house is the expenses of our life, where we end up having to put out a lot of money. And this wants to be reconciled. And this full moon is also asking you to dream a different dream. When it comes to the axis of that kind of money, put into your life a visionary plan. Do a vision board. Create a journal of your vision of how you are going to be seeing your reality through the lens of debts paid. And somehow, some way, my debts are paid. One of those things. You can be the engineer of a change here. You don't have to live under the same old pattern. The same goes with addictions, especially substances, especially things you imbibe. And the same thing goes with your job and work situation. If any of you are dealing here, as this moon will happen here at 12 degrees of your 6th house, with some difficulties in the work scene, right? Your job, your work, your colleagues, your coworkers, your employee settings. The full light is literally beaming a bright high beam there. So you can see what needs to change. Venus is the Lord of your sign, in your sign, as this lunation happens in the 6th house. This can indicate a strong capacity for you to be an agent of your own success. Now, if you need or want another opportunity in work and you're not happy with what you have, as early as the first week of April, as Venus is going to square Pluto, she could jumpstart you after this moon into something brand new, some new opportunity professionally, some new career or job opening, or the way you're currently working in the career or job is going to bring you some positive new directions, like more money, a better office space, more fun with your colleagues. You like the people better. The things that you care about. She's not the chase the paper girl under the sky. She's the find the deeper satisfaction in the daily routines of your life, regarding your health, regarding your work. And if she can, in the first week of April, she'll just push against that Pluto and a wealth yoga with Juno and try to level up a new money story for you in the eyes of the world and in your professional activities. If you are retired, then how are you being of service in this world? And how do people see you doing something that's being of service? That's the 6th house, 10th house story. So there may be a call here to step up and do something of service to another. I want to mention as well that Jupiter in your 3rd house is squaring the moon, and it's the moon's first contact after complete fullness is Jupiter. So there's something about opportunity or expansion or growth that's coming your way. It's connected to your 3rd house, and your 3rd house happens to be about maybe local job opportunities, brick and mortar business opportunities, professional learning opportunity, or professional travel opportunity. Jupiter is going to bring something good to you that way. When it comes to debts, if there's debts owed or debts indebted situations with siblings, there can be some shifting around that and sort of the end of that debt situation. I don't know who's paying whom, but sibling debt can be calibrated to something positive, and siblings can bring prosperity or wealth to you in that part of the chart in this time frame. So the spotlight on a sibling supporting you financially to do a debt elimination or even making money in a new way through livelihood, but you might get some boost from a sibling under the sky. The other part of it is that Jupiter in the 3rd house is very much about teachers. Like, this is an educational house, and you might want to learn something that's a skills-based body of knowledge. Right? Something that's kind of like, I'm going to learn how to do this thing. So that kind of study, practical, hands-on learning. This is the house of your hands. And so if you're learning a hands-on skill, you might notice something very powerful coming off of this moon. Indeed, this moon could really open up doors of professional opportunity of all things, not just enjoyment, by taking on a new talent or skill learning path, like you're going to study how to do the thing. And turns out you're really good at it. And that can be online learning or in-person learning. It really doesn't matter. Both of those are true. And finally, the full moon shining brightly in your sixth house is illuminating the house of pets. Maybe some of you might want to consider, because October 21st, a new seed was planted, the adoption of a pet in your life, and maybe even the, getting into a breeder's, schedule for a new animal to come your way. So there's a possibility of a pet, especially because the sun is the ruler of your fourth house of home and the moon is in the house of domestic animals. So some of you might be actually coming into, not just on the day, April 1st of this lunation, but over the weeks and months that follow. Especially look for clues of pet coming closer to you if you want a pet sometime in the first month after this new moon. And finally, I can say finally a lot, don't I? Jupiter's in a writing house, right? And so if you're all like, and Venus rules the arts, and she's the ruler of the moon, and Libra is book and, books, bodies of knowledge, books, Libra library. You might be wanting to write something. This could be a golden writing opportunity, right? You might have something come to you. You realize you have a need to put it into form. But because the moon is in the sixth house, it could also tie in professionally with your work and success through work, publishing, writing, venues. So really tune into what this moon is about for you when you get to it, and you'll feel it 2 or 3 days before. Remember to use that imagination. That imagination is in the 12th house of dreams at night, of meditations, of reverie, of kind of the still point within, liberation all the way, the enlightenment house. Just kind of tune really in to your inner imagination during this lunation and afterwards, and see what you can't spill into reality in the sky. It can definitely be really good for your health and your work, and a remedy for what ails you, especially if it involves self-sabotage and addictions, and turning that around once and for all. Gemini, sun, moon, and rising sign. The first thing we notice here is that you have a big, beautiful 12-degree lunation in the house of romantic love. If you're single, nothing like a full moon here to bring in a full light on the spotlight on the love story, and possibly even dating locally or online, because the sun's involved ruling your third house of local and online stuff. If you want to date somebody under this moon, and you might be asked out on a date even, right? You could be. You may have an invitation from somebody who lives abroad, somebody who's in a far off shore. And that's just because, which is going to be awkward, right? That's just because of the fact that Venus, who rules the lunation, is in the distant shores and foreign lands place. And kind of sometimes it just means like far away from where you live. It doesn't have to be another country. We have big countries in North America, so the other side of the country. And you might be thinking, yeah, okay, but that person's so far away. So if you get, an opportunity for somebody who wants to, get to know you a bit better, maybe to explore it. But that there may be some geographical issues at the beginning. The moon is also about that idea of a creation god, of the tongue of a people. And the fifth house is your artistic creative endeavors. It's your muse and your inspiration and your entrepreneurial business. And what the heck, why not? This could open up a really great opportunity for you here to be able to start a new creative project, write a book, do a painting, start a new entrepreneurial business. Now you're saying, wait, it's not a new beginning. No, it's a full moon. You would fulfill those things if it's been on your radar sometime since October the 21st. And then you would bring it into fulfillment or completion or form. Now, your children belong to the fifth house, and a moon here, anytime we have kids, can be fertility for one of our children. And so it can indicate a full moon in particular. The child may be fulfilling a baby thing. So if you are thinking that one of your children could have a baby in the next 6 months, or conceiving a child, it wouldn't be utterly surprising. Jupiter, the Lord of children, is squaring the moon tightly and could bring definitely a new direction for one of your kids around conception. Now, you would think with Jupiter in the second house that money is great. Jupiter is exalted, but sometimes he bites off more than he can chew. This moon, ruled by Venus, the goddess of coinage, she should be helping out. So you could really find a nice increase in your revenue sources and your income earnings and your money that you're able to procure and save. Jupiter in the second house, connected to Venus in the 12th. And Venus in the 12th is the distant lands and far off places where we can make money in our modern day. In our modern day, that's like barter and trade, right? That's like, oh, I'm touching my hair. Sorry for those of you who don't know that I'm autistic. Yes, I'll keep touching my hair until probably I go to the grave. Plus, I'm hot. I want you to think about you being able to sort of increase your money through new strategies that this moon will give you that are more inspired, creative, and enjoyable, but that also leverage for those of you who use the internet for making money, that kind of money for you. And Jupiter definitely says more money, but more fun, more money, but more creativity, more money, but more inspiration. The moon opens up a light to show you the way towards those things, right? To show you how to get there. In your 11th house, the sun is being mirrored back by the moon. And the sun, of course, is up there with the asteroid Salacia. And she's not just about scandal. I mean, although under the sky, if I was being practical, there could be a scandal in the life of one of your children, for example, or you may incur a romantic scandal in your life, but it's more likely to tune into the more seashell goddess vibe, where she can use her imagination to sort of see beyond and connect to the realms beyond this one. So don't think about it as just one thing. It's got multiple layers. And so if I had an exciting thing for you as a prescription on this, go back to October 21st, where you're considering new creative outlets, new entrepreneurial outlets, new romantic engagements, but also do a little bit of dreaming into it, because the sun with the reality tracks, Saturn, and the imagination god, Neptune, are in the house of your long-range goals, wishes, and dreams. And you, of all signs, would be best suited to doing something like a collage or a vision board or some kind of, creative writing around envisioning what it is you want to create in your life. Use this moon for that energy. I think it can be quite successful. All right. Well, because I am hot and I don't want to stop the recording, it's a pain in the ass. I'm going to open the window and I'll be right back. No kidding. Girls in her summer wear. I don't even know, guys, if it's really hot or it's just me. And menopausal hot, all right? Hot menopausal energies. Perimenopause is long gone. I am very menopausal. All right, moving on. I know you didn't need to know that. TMI. Let's keep on keeping on. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell. I didn't CTA you on that at the beginning. I should, because it makes the channel succeed. And if you don't subscribe and like and to hit the notification bell, fine, but it does help. And we go to Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising sign, calling you to action. You are likely to find this lunation in your 4th house, opening up something connected to your private life, and especially your domicile, where you live, and the people with whom you live. Now, because the moon is full here and a seed was planted last October 21st for the new moon, it may have something to do with a very probable desire to do something in your home that's connected to professional endeavors or professional directions, where Venus is in the 11th house of the gains of your career. And this is also the house of the sibling one older. And this is also sometimes friends and allies and benefactors and your home life. Now, because the moon is full, it's kind of shining a spotlight in the 4th house. And moon doesn't mind being in the 4th house, obviously, because it's the nighttime, it's the midnight hour. So looking into the full moon energy in the 4th house, we have Maki, the creation god of the Tongva people. Quite possibly, you might want to create something new in your home, a dedicated home office, a artist studio, a new garden. What is it you want to create in your home? But with Venus in your 8th house, it can connect to your professional direction. So as opposed to just creating, let's say, a greenhouse for fun because you want a garden, you might want to create something connected to how your professional monies can increase, how your job success can get better from something you're creating in and from your home. As well, Jupiter's talking to this moon and he's in great dignity, perfect shape in his home kingdom. And, I like that a lot, because Jupiter here is like Santa Claus, fairy godmother, father. He's doing you a solid. And I kind of think he's trying his best to bring you something lucky and fortunate, keyword opportunity. And he's squaring that moon pretty tightly on the actual lunation when the moon is at 12 degrees. And so you're probably going to say post moon in the 2 to 3 weeks that follow that some very positive opportunity emerged in your life connected to your professional advancements and connected to your home life. With Saturn in the top of the sky, where he's like structuring things for you in your career with new forms and structures, and Neptune, new dreams and visions, Saturn also rules the house of your long-term agreements, including marriage. And so there may also be in the story some sort of collateral rollout of opportunity and luck, professionally, maybe connected to a spouse, if a person you're married to, and it improves your home life together. So they could get some really nice outcome that feels very fortunate for them professionally, maybe more money, and that brings more money to the home, that kind of thing. And Venus, as the ruler of this moon, she could bring you some lucky breaks to do with mortgages, finances, taxes, insurance payouts connected to your home. And you could find that vibe is like, oh, yeah, that's wonderful. I got some kind of really great chunk of money connected to things I need it and have to do with my home, especially if there's something to do with taxes or insurance payouts or anything like that. It will feel like a lucky break or a windfall. This one could generate that for the home itself as well. Hello, Leo, sun, moon, and rising sign. The big full light at 12 degrees of Libra at the full moon on April the 1st is happening in your third house. This is communicating, writing, teaching, traveling. Sometimes it has to do with people in your neighborhood, your neighbors, or siblings in general, and sibling one younger in specific. So we have a lot going on in your third house because there's so much it could be, right? Now, back in October on the 21st, you planted a seed there. You had an idea of what you wanted to create. And now it's going to come to a completion, fullness, or fulfillment. And we have a lot of creation God energy. The Maki, the creation God, is here. So what do you wish to create in your third house? It can be a writing project. It can be an online or social media project. It could be something to do with creating a new home connected to a new neighborhood, for neighbors and neighborhoods belong to the third house, and the moon represents home energies. But on the other hand, Venus is the ruler of this third house, and it's actually connected to she's in the house of your career and reputation matters. So if you're going to change your home to a new neighborhood, it may have to do with a career opportunity, right? Jupiter, Venus career opportunity. Or if you want to expand your social media range and reach and get some really great celebrity or popularity, Venus in the 10th house, Jupiter will help you do that, because Jupiter in the 12th house also connects to to gains of money through international barter and trade. In other words, through having clients, customers abroad who pay you, or ad revenue from Google AdSense, same idea, or you are working for a foreign company, or you live in a country other than you're born in and you're making money abroad. So that's where Jupiter's sitting, bringing you direct motion luck. And he's talking to that moon. And so it's really good for all of those Leos who do the online world stuff, because that's what the third house can be, the social media platforms as well, and really leveling you up to a new level of professional and financial success in that regard. And the sun is with Salacia, which in the 9th house is a dream house. So pay attention to your dreams and the visions you get from beyond this realm that may be guiding you in how it is and which way you're going to do things. Salacia can just be gossipy, and there can be some major gossip with a sibling 2 older, a sibling 4 younger, or some major gossip regarding a parental or authority figure in your life, father figure. Some kind of scandal will break out. And of course, the moon reflects that in the house of emails, phone calls, text messages, and all the ways we communicate with each other. And there's a lot of sibling activation in this chart. So there could be some serious scandals coming through from siblings, and may connect very strongly to matters to do with father figures in the life of you and siblings, and all the scandalous news that's fit to print. If you're into writing, this is an ideal moon for completing or going past the first chapter on a writing project and moving it towards a destination called publication and completion. And this moon could help you get there and get rolling on the possibility of, ain't going to be published if you don't write it. So you're like going to have to actually finish the writing project, completing that writing project, Libra library book. It's really very, very likely. Some of you know what I'm talking about, but certainly not everyone has a book project, but some of you do. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit my notification bell. Thanks. Hello, Virgo, sun, moon, and rising. This is a sky that tells me you're having a huge, full light on the money stories, your earnings, your resources, also what you put in your mouth and food and things you ingest through the nose and face, but also the money story. This is your earnings and resources. And there's a big bright light here showing you something you need to see, revealing something that you need to see, fulfilling something here. If you go back to October 21st, there was a new beginning, new seed planted. And it doesn't mean that your job changed or your work changed. It could, but you might have planted a seed to bring something new in. And now you're going to try to complete that seed planting. Because Venus is the lord of the moon and she happens to sit in your ninth house, which is very human resources, headhunter, LinkedIn, or something. That could be something coming to you that you're not seeking and surprises you as you are, as you are sought out, or that human resources wants to place you in a higher position or something like that. So there's something going on there that could be very powerful for new beginnings in work, or because your second house has to do with earnings and resources and the ninth house has to do with, international travel. Although I don't normally tie those two together, you might find that there's an opportunity to make money in an international setting. You could be asked to speak at a conference or to travel to do something that earned you money. And you probably would say yes under the sky. Jupiter, the lord of the lunation, is exalted in your 11th house of long-range goals, wishes, and dreams, but more importantly, greater gains in your career. The perks of career, awards, rewards, perky offices, more money, more lucky breaks in the work. And so with Jupiter trying to favor those stories for you and the moon in the earnings house, for a lot of you, there's going to be a nice little turnaround here in your money story connected to your work. And you could even find yourself, it depends on what kind of work you're doing, right? Eighth house money means chunks of money too. And because we have Saturn, Neptune, Sun, Salacia, dream yourself into a chunk of money, like a sign-on bonus, a commission check, a big bonus check or something like that. You could be surprised. Venus says, we'll bring you some surprise. I think you can hear that siren. That's why I'm moving out of this neighborhood to a 2-bedroom with air conditioning, and I'm not going to be stuck between a fire hall and a hospital. Moving in June. So yeah, I have my windows open this time of year and I'm sweltering in here. It's not me. It's the people below me and below me and below me with their heat on. All right. Do I have any advice here? Yes. Because the sun is being reflected by the moon and the sun rules your house of addictions and self-undoing. For some of you, this is a great chance to do a cleanse, a purge, a purification, a detox. You know what I mean? To really go for a chance at breaking a spell of some kind of addictive attraction you have, or substance misuse or abuse disorder. And the moon here in Libra is about balance. It's not like you have to say, I'm quitting drinking for the rest of my life unless you know you need to do that. But this could be like a really big energy that supports containment, Saturn, Neptune addictions in a balanced way. Right. So whatever that means for you, right? If you know that you smoke 25 cigarettes a day and you could probably get it by on 2 if you really worked it, or if 1 glass of wine is fine, but 3 is bad, you have to look at your own story. Where are you able to pull back, contain and restrain, purify and find balance in whatever you ingest through your nose or mouth, even including food, right? Be addicted to mac and cheese or Haagen-Dazs or sugar, and find the balance point. It can really be a great moon for doing that. And if you go back to October 21st, add about 2 or 3 weeks last fall, you might have noticed, you probably thought, oh yeah, I got to clean up my act here. Maybe you're trying to do sober October, This is a moon that gives you a chance, okay? And it gives you a strong success rate with Jupiter applying to the moon, right? And you might join a sober friendship group or circle or community to support that as well. All right, Libra, sun, moon, and rising sign. I think we're going to talk about your lunation that is bright and full in your sign. I could have started with you, but I didn't. This happens, of course, every year. This one's taking off for October 21st, new moon. So October 21st, spin it out till early November. What kind of changes were you thinking of creating in your life as a new beginning? every time you have a new moon or full moon here, it's always ruled by Venus, and Venus in this time of this moon is in her dignity in her home kingdom, and your house of chunky money. Now, this is all kinds of money. It's shared resources with a spouse or partner. It's money that you get from kind of like money makes money, investment money, shareholders money, money from spousal separation agreements, money from inheritances, money. Just it's not your daily paycheck. Okay. That kind of unearned or shared resource money. So this moon could open up something there for you. You might find yourself all of a sudden coming into some sort of positive narrative with a chunk of money. But with Jupiter applying to the moon, there's this, or, that's an important consideration. If there is some chunk of money, it's either coming from a father figure, especially an eldering one, like a grandparent, or it's coming through something in your career space. All right, because that's where Jupiter's sitting. So, you get elevated to a new position, or you get a new opportunity at a new company. And, a lot of times they can have enticements like a sign-on bonus, or a chance to sharehold in the company and make money off the company stock or that kind of thing. So there's another way that your professional endeavors could bring money to you in a new way. Sometimes, of course, commission checks are kind of like a chunk of money, right? It's not really a wage, dollars for hours. So maybe if you have an industry that allows for commissions or royalty income, there could be a nice payout coming off of this moon in the next 2 to 3 weeks after. But you're also looking at a longer arc, right? Because Venus says, I want to increase the chunky money and surprise you over the course of the next 6 months. Not just over the course of the 2 to 3 weeks that follow the moon, but pay attention to both of those stories. Jupiter is favoring you in the 10th house, and you could be coming into a fulfillment of something you want to create in a long-term relationship. The moon is reflecting the long-term love house, committed love, and Jupiter rules children and weddings. So 2 thoughts. You could be coming into a fulfillment of a desire to be a parent in the next 6 months. Therefore, you or partner get pregnant. And you could be fulfilling the desire for a wedding, and maybe one way or the other. This is a fulfillment of maybe a thought you had in October, like I want to get married to this person, or I'd love to be married with this person. And now you can fulfill that over the next 6 months. You could get engaged or whatever, or plan a wedding. You happen to be, of course, some of you might be single, right? And I wouldn't start a new relationship under the sky unless you want a secret love affair in the office. Okay. So otherwise, hold off. This is not like the moon, in my humble opinion, with Venus in the 8th house, where I would want to start something new. But I'm talking about how to apply this to people who are already in relationship. Finally, somebody could come to you, like a customer, a client, an audience member, somebody in your outreach from your career could come to you in the 2 to 3 weeks that follow this moon and offer you a golden career opportunity that's going to elevate your professional success. Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising sign. We have a full moon brightly shining in Libra, which is your 12th house. Your 12th house is the house where you are often quietly alone, meditating, dreaming sometimes at night, doing creative projects in isolation. I mean, of course, it could be a jail or a hospital, but it's usually not. It also is a place that connects you to your soul and to the deepest essence of who you are, and opens up moksha or spiritual liberation stories. That is a place in the sky where the moon is shining brightly. If you have any karmic situations, ancestral path stuff to investigate, any deep psychological baggage you want to uncover, a full moon is always good for that here as well. Certainly, though, the full moon is going to be opened up in many ways by Jupiter in the 9th house. So because 9th house and 12th house involve distant shores and far off lands, there may be some opportunities for international or far away travel coming off the moon. You did plant a seed here back in October, and maybe you can remember the idea of traveling abroad or having some openings there. Also really good for education and going to school and having educational opportunities open up. And maybe some of the plotting for that began in October into November. If you have any legal dealings that you have to deal with, Jupiter is supporting you to win in the court of law, that kind of thing. But also the idea here is that the sun is in your 6th house. And so the sun is also reflecting back to you things that are very karmic. You could pay off debts all of a sudden in new ways coming off this moon if you're beholden or you're a debt holder of any kind. because we have Venus, the Lord of the lunation, in the house of your significant long-term love partner, 7th house, in her dignity. If you have a partner, this is good for them. It kind of translates as collateral benefits to your partner, where they're going to have some positive developments, and it could involve also money that they make. If your partner makes money because they work for a foreign company or they work online and they make borderless income or digital revenue, then this could benefit your partner as well. There's a dreaming here as well because of Maki, the creation god of the Tongva people. Where is it and what is it you wish to dream into being that takes you into alignment with your work path and your career path and the idea of Dharma? Dharma is to be on purpose in life. And Jupiter is asking you to consider what that looks like. And the sun in your work house rules your career space and reputation. Therefore, there's a translation here to look for a deep introspective, inner questing vibe and pay attention to your nocturnal dreams about clues around directionality and life purpose. It's also an ideal sky for those of you who want to work in great intensity over the next few weeks to complete a writing project for publication. And finally, because Venus is in the setting place and Jupiter is in the 9th house, there is some possibility, I'm not going to say it's huge, that you could receive unexpected money from the passing away or inheritance type vibe. Pluto in the 4th house can add that to there as well. But then we're looking at health challenges with an elderly father figure and a movement towards the possibility of receiving some money from that person who may be in your family of origin, obviously, and bringing that money your way. This would be your family, not likely your in-laws under this kind of sky. Hey, Sagittarius, sun, moon, and rising sign. The sky tells us that you have a big light brightly shining in Libra on April 1st. It's a full moon that was seeded October 21st last fall. You always think October 21st, a few days before and a week or two after. What were you plotting away, planning to do, creating something new? And the energy is in your long range goals, dreams, and plans. And that's a tough one sometimes to grasp. It's like it's your forward momentum towards your height of the sky. So you know how we can either daydream or plot or plan or set a 5-year plan or 10-year plan. That kind of forward planning, forward thinking, forward wishing is often the 11th house energy. It's our desires. And so what it is you desire for your expression of purpose and career and success, worldly success, is very anchored to the 11th house. So you might have started to seed something new for yourself back then in October, November. Now you're going to fulfill it with Tongva, the Tongva people, Easter Island, creation god, Maki Maki. And it's also doing things for one's tribe. But, you know, having this a creation god here is what do you wish to create in your vision of what you want that may be entirely new. And also the full moon is in the house of your career gains in particular. Anything like the money, the reputation, the earnings, the perks, the rewards of the career. Now there's a spotlight. You're trying to see what are the rewards of my career? And maybe you don't even think you have a career because of the creation god may say it's time to start creating something here. Jupiter is in the house of chunky money. He's in the house of shared resources. He's in your 8th house. He's applying a nice flow to the moon or square, but he's applying to the moon. And like there's an intensity here regarding opportunities that feel like windfalls because that idea of a pennies from heaven vibe is in your 11th house. And the sun with the dream maker, Neptune and Saturn, the realist, are actually in the house of good fortune where you could win money. So there's something going on here about like, could you win some money off of the sky? And I don't ever say never say never. You know what I mean? And so you could be coming into what feels like something in the couple of weeks after this moon. Let me know in the comments where you feel like you just won the lottery or something. Could involve financial wins, mortgages, banking wins, debt elimination wins. debt restructuring wins. Venus is the lord of the moon. She's in your house of debts, real and financial and karmic. Under this kind of sky, you may be able to procure a change of home, but it would likely look like a change of home that's connected to something you've been wish fulfilling and dreaming. Not too shabby for selling a home, buying a home, renting a home, changing a home, but it has to be a part of something that you're seed planting. You might even change your home, and you might connect that to something going on in the life of a sibling, one older, or connected to rental properties and pets. So there's some of you collaterally changing the story all over the place, but the trine between Jupiter in your fourth house as he rules the 11th house wish fulfillment moon, you might find a new home connected to the themes I just told you about. This moon could propel you to move. And maybe with Venus trining the South Node, there is a change in your work because you're dreaming a new dream about your earnings, and you know that you need to make a change. But what I like about this is changing your work, changing your job can happen very suddenly and very excitingly in the few weeks that follow this lunation, and it can feel very exhilarating for those of you who have a job or are not retired. If you're looking for a job, then I say absolutely grab this moon and start applying all over the place and get the dream that you wish for. Okay. The one that really you yearn for, not any old career, job, money story, but something that really feels inspiring and fulfilling for you. With that fifth house, 11th house awakened axes here, right? Hey, Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising sign. The vibe is full moon in reputation and career and public life and professional success. Now, we get confused when we're retired. A lot of people ask me about that. You still are visibly active in the world. People see you doing something, right? That's why it's your reputation. Divorced, married, widowed, single, public ceremonies, weddings, funerals, and bar mitzvahs and christenings and all of that stuff. So in the very visible part of the sky, there's a full light. You planted a seed in that part of your chart way back when, right? On October 21st. This is the house of your visible reputation, but it's also connected to Jupiter in the house of committed love or business partners. And so there's something that wants to happen regarding your reputation publicly, your career, business partners, your visible reputation, and your status in long-term love, and a positive direction, a positive change. Jupiter is going to bring something good. He's a benefic, he's direct, and he is in a very tight square to the moon. The moon will actually bump into him right after the moon is full by square. And the energy from the fourth house, where the moon is reflecting the sun, is about your woundedness, by the way, about your home life and feeling like you belong, or not liking where you live, or not really wanting to be where you're living with, or with whom you're living. So this energy's been around for a while. I'm not going to belabor that. I talk about all my videos. The chironic wound here for you since 2019. But I do want to say that maybe what'll happen under this kind of moon, because the moon represents home, is that a professional opportunity will rehome you, or a change of relationship stature toward more commitment and publicly announced to, like we're the thing, we're together, we're monogamous, could also move you. Now, not all at once. This is, every lunation can take up to 6 months to unfold. So don't expect it to happen in a day. But certainly in the month that follows the moon, look for clues for what this is trying to do for you. Now, we have Venus, the lord of the lunation, in the house of children and romantic love, art and creative projects, and entrepreneurial stuff, including consulting. So if you don't want to work for someone and you have a consulting or independent entrepreneurial way of being, this can really open up opportunities for you to get some kind of gig off of this moon. And it's going to be very successful. Otherwise, because we have romance and long-term commitment involved, and Venus is fixed in Taurus and wants a steadfast long-term love in her home kingdom, yet with some surprises, Uranus. If you're single, this could bring in a new partner. It could be quite exciting, but you're going to meet them because of something you're doing in the eye of the world, the public reputation sphere of the chart, more likely than not. And you might find also that because the actual Venus is eighth houses from the moon, when it comes to romance, you might also keep it under wraps at first. You might be, I'm not announcing this to the world yet. Like I'm going to keep it a secret, but the full moon says it will eventually have to go into public acknowledgement mode. This could be very beautiful for finding out that you're going to be a grandparent. Because Venus is in the house of children and Jupiter is in the house across from you and bringing you more children into your life. So you could be finding this is like a signature for you having a pregnancy, your partner being pregnant, or the opening for the entrance of a grandchild coming off this full moon. And that's just like announcing to the world, right? Hey, look at, we're having a child, me and my partner, or my children are, and their partner are having babies. All right. There could be a surprise though, right? And this particularly would impact a firstborn child and a secondborn child. So a firstborn or secondborn child with a surprise pregnancy in the 6 months that follows. And if you go back to October, maybe there was sort of a hint that it could come because there was a new moon activating some of these stories. But it's the Venus bit that brings me into the children and their pregnancies more than anything else, or you and your partner and your pregnancy more than anything else. All right. I shall move forward. Aquarius, sun, moon, and rising sign. Yes, I am one of you. I think you're going to look at this moon and its brightness in your ninth house and ask yourself questions like, what seed did I plant last October to do with publishing, book publishing, publications, to do with learning, studying, college campus style, to do with traveling internationally, to do with things to do with dharma, meaning, and life's purpose? How did you seed plant? Maybe some of you even court and legal cases with Justice Libra here. And you know that back in October, there was a new beginning or a planting here, October 21st, maybe add 2 to 3 weeks. But here we have now the spotlight and the pressure point of fulfillment or completion, one of the two. And because this moon is also connected to the creation god, creative energy of the Tongva people of Easter Island, and also the idea of doing something for one's tribe, if you're going to be aligned with purpose, or you're going to want to publish anything, the questions become, does it serve my tribe? And am I being, a creator here? Do I have creator instincts? And because we also have the third house being all about the writing itself, and Saturn, the discipline structures, Neptune, the imagination, there's a strong, strong push to start writing something for some of us. I'm one of you, but also because we have social media landscape in the third house, there's some constraint and constriction there now, and will be there for a couple of years. But Saturn is also trying to get a vibe for Aquarius is to really tailor with wisdom and precision what is needed and eliminate the rest. Boy, can I talk about that. Jupiter in the house of employees, employment structures, work routines. Jupiter is involved. Jupiter is squaring the moon full in your ninth house. Well, at the same time, Jupiter is also hooked up to the sun, right? So there's a T-square here. There's some pressure point with luck and opportunity involved. And it can be a professional opportunity coming to you, like a phone call, text messages, or emails to do with work, livelihood, and profession, and actually to make money as well under the sky. But while this opportunity is showing up, it also has pressure, right? There's also something about it that feels kind of intense for us. And you might also have an opportunity under this sky, of all things, for a pet, only if you're securing a pet for your home from a foreign land. Venus is in the fourth house of home and property. She is in her kingdom and dignity, and talking to Jupiter in the house of animals, and ruling the moon in the house of foreign places. So this is a classic, adoption of a pet in distress from abroad or something like that, especially with Saturn ruling the 12th house. So a lot of that looks like some of you may be looking to procure a pet from a foreign place. But if that's not what this kind of catalyzes for you, and it may not at all, a lot of the deeper questions you're asking is about two things. What is my life's purpose, and how can I extract that juice from my childhood, my family of origin, and from my home life. Because you want to be on purpose, you want to connect it to what you do in your private time, home alone. And that's Venus in her kingdom in the fourth house. Certainly, for you to move into more meaningful alignment and balance with purpose, it's how you interact with your privacy and time alone at home alone. That's going to be useful to you. Venus in the fourth house likes the pleasures in your private time, the pleasures in your non-public life, the enjoyment of time in the home with people you enjoy, dinners at home, fun at home, women in the home. But these vibes are important because it's very nurturing. And this is Venus who guides that moon. I do want to say that because Venus will come into a square to Pluto early in April, the first week, just after this moon, there is an opportunity for a very powerful transformation in your life regarding money, home, and real estate, as well as connected very strongly to the South and North Node axis. So you could come into some kind of financial pivot of some kind that transforms you personally in a bit of a wealth yoga or wealth union, but it's coming again through intensity. Jupiter is pressuring that moon to also help you make changes in your earning structures because you've been maybe working way too hard. When you get to April the 10th, things will lighten up. But what is this struggle and fight and push for monetary success about for you guys? The North Node, the ravenous serpent's head, more, right? And when is enough. And I want to say one thing about Jupiter here in your sixth house. He is a benefic. He is guru. He is the dispeller of darkness. He's going to show you exactly what you need in order to achieve a purposeful and meaningful life. Pay attention to clues and cues around your health. He will always protect your health here, but sometimes he shows you what's wrong so you can make it right. He's definitely pointing to dietary changes, more success for your vitality and health through changing your diet. If you're single, you might get into a relationship with somebody in an international setting, but also that you might encounter or meet through work. Your work that you do, or colleague, coworker settings, or through referrals from an office mate. But single Aquariuses could come into a relationship here, but you're going to be seeing some international or far away or whatever vibration here, living not close to you. Okay. And finally, Pisces, sun, moon, and rising sign. A full moon is shining brightly. It's going to happen on April the 1st, and it's going to show up for you in your Libra 8th house of chunky money, unearned income, and shared resources. It's not your paycheck, it's not your regular source of income. Now, you had a new moon here back October 21st. Now you got a full light. If you share money with a spouse, if you have inheritance monies, if you're in divorce separation agreement money land, trying to figure that out, this is a spotlight, hopefully giving you some sense of fulfillment, closure, or clarity with the creation God dreaming what you want into being here. And don't forget the soap bubbles at the beginning. So, blow a bubble of enchantment into this story. I want to mention that the sun, of course, is in the earnings house. The moon is in the chunky money house. There's two kinds of money. You're feeling a little bit compressed, maybe, but maybe you're putting new forms and structures into place about how to make money because Saturn is trying to do that with vision, although he's a little impatient in your second house. And you might also be looking at the idea that the moon is going to open up some new creation of how to create more money in your life, right? Some new path ahead, some new vision for how to create more success financially. Go back to October 21st and compare notes about what you were trying to do in the money axis of your chart back then on the new moon. The energy here of Jupiter in the house of good fortune, okay, squaring the moon, squaring the sun, can be very fortunate, obviously. And the energy would be to give you some, you could even win money. You're one of the few signs to win money here, okay? Or get some unexpected financial bonus money from a sibling, any sibling. Venus is in the house of siblings. So unexpected money from siblings, highlighting siblings, one younger, two younger, or one older. That can happen. But also the energy here is like, oh, wait a minute. Okay. I can be really fortunate. Good fortune is mine. Jupiter says, I'm moving forward. I'm giving this moon in a money house a boost. Venus says, I'm going to also tinker with fortunes coming from the third house, fortunes through online, social media, teaching, writing, communicating, through marketing and selling, and through siblings. Jupiter in the house of good fortune and Saturn ruling the 11th means it's not too shabby to buy a lottery ticket. I don't overdo it, but Mr. Lottery Ticket Mercury himself is trining Jupiter. So yes, every now and then, within reason, buy a scratch and win, or we call them scratch and win. I think you call them scratch off in the United States, but buy a ticket. This is one of the skies that not everyone has this, where you could actually come into some really good windfall, good fortune energy here. Now, I don't know about the inheritance story because I'm not going to say you're going to inherit money. You could inherit money off of this sky. But it's just as possible it could be money that you share with a spouse or money that comes from the in-laws. So there could be that kind of money that wants to show up for you over the next while, over the next over the next 2 to 3 weeks after the April 1st new moon in the sign of Libra. So keep your ears to the, just hope for the best. The money comes to you in the way you need it. Now, the third house, last thing I want to say, it's a travel house, but it's usually short distance travel. And the moon is in the 8th house. So it's kind of an awkward arrangement. I would say that Jupiter could bring you opportunity to travel with your kids, towards your kids to you, or romantic love, partnership travel, and leisure romantic getaways are opening up for you over the next 2 to 3 weeks after this moon comes into being. All right. Now we're going to get away from all of that, and I'm going to do the extended members version only here. Now, this is going to be where we talk about the astrocartography map of this particular lunation and how it might hit major world events. Now, if I'm going to do an outro, I call them, which is my little mystical story about what's going on and stuff like that, then I would also just insert that here. And so we have an outro. You'd be hearing it already today because I had 3 hours sleep. I'm not doing an outro. What I'm doing today instead, and please tell me I'm still recording, is I'm going to show you members only the world section, where we're going to talk for about 10 to 15 minutes maximum, I hope, on these extended version videos about what I think this means for the world. That's my new format, not to complain about, I don't want to complain about you guys complaining about world astrology. I'd rather just put it to the place where people who want it can get it. And that's the best I can do. And it's really damaging my performance and subscriptions when I include the world astrology for everybody, because some people really don't want it. They don't want bad news. They want to just hear the good stuff, and I get it, or hear about themselves. So this is the only way this channel is ever going to grow. I'm trying to straddle 2 worlds, and it's not working as well as it should, right? If you go to see Dan Wade's at World Astrology Report, he just does world astrology, right? So that's a thing, but I'm trying to blend personal and world, and it's not working so well. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to say goodbye to you guys. Thank you for listening. Don't forget, please like and subscribe. Check out my Substack where I write about world astrology. Check out my All Signs bundle for 2026. Check out my classes that I teach. Everything about how to find me and get in touch. I don't do readings right now, is in my description box below. Then I'm going to also remind you how much I appreciate you, whether you're in the extended members only section or not. I appreciate you, and hopefully you appreciate the work I'm doing for you as well. And now let's go ahead and do the members only section.
Lunatic astrology.